Hi guys, it's Cece here. I just wanted to do a quick demonstration on how I use my latest Procreate brush set, which is called Line and Wash Sketchbook. It's available on Creative Market if you're interested. I'll put the link in the description below. And if you do have brushes or similar to this, feel free to follow along. I hope you find it interesting. Okay, so to create something like this sketchy, kind of sketchy looking line and wash set, what you would do to achieve that look is to go ahead and create the canvas with the sizing that you need for ultimately what your end result is going to be. If it's just for practice, then whatever. I like to do landscape, and so I'm going to go to the canvas that I chose, which is a poster size basically, and I'm going to import one of the provided sketchbook papers that come with the set. So you go to this tool and you go insert photo. I'm going to find my sketchbook paper, which is there. It imports in the orientation of the actual original JPEG source file. So, but it's pretty easy to go ahead and flip that how you like it. In my case, I have to rotate it. So go ahead and do that. And then I'll resize it. Uniform. Be sure to click uniform so that you don't distort the fiber, the texture of the paper, because that will look bad. Voila, and then there you go. There's my sketchbook paper. I like a toned paper. I think it's just interesting to work with. There we go. So that's in its own layer. It imports in its own layer, but to be sure that that stays untouched, you want to go ahead and lock that layer. Don't forget to do that, and you want to work in the layers above it. So then lock the layer. Select a new layer for your line work. So in that new layer, I'm going to go to my set and I'm going to choose one of these sketching pens. There's a pencil, a monoline, an imitation of a micron pen, and then kind of a heavier, denser pen. I like it a little darker, but I like it to look quite organic, so I go for the micron imitation because I like that kind of hooky thing. So I'm just going to demonstrate with an eye because that's kind of my favorite thing to draw. Sketchy. It is a sketchbook, so not being perfect is just fine. In fact, it's preferable to give it that kind of organic, natural look and feel. So this pen is very sketchy, as you can see, probably a little too sketchy because it fades off. That's the way it's supposed to be. So, you know, if I'm doing these long lines, and it's probably not the best pen, I'm probably going to want to choose the pen or consistent line weight throughout the whole pencil, or probably the pen a little stronger. Yeah, stronger, consistent. So that's going to give me a bolder line. But if you do like this kind of sketchy, you know, truly like messy, scribbly kind of effect, go for the micron. It's fine, especially if you're doing, you know, like cross hatching, something with small, shorter strokes. It's going to look great, super organic, natural feel, which can be cool, especially because you're using a digital, you know, digital platform. Okay, but I like the pen because I like it bold and I want it a little smoother. It's getting a little messy even for me. There you go. So I've done my rough sketch. Everything's where I want it. Voila. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lock this layer because I don't want it disturbed, because one of the things using Procreate with line and wash, you're going to have to do some erasing and some smudging. And so if you do that on your sketch layer, that's going to be incorporated in your next colors and you're going to be annoyed. So go ahead and lock that off so you know that that's safe and secure. Nothing's going to happen to it, and work in a layer above it. Or below it would work as well, depending on the opacity of the colors, how you lay them down working forward. So here in my new layer, I'm going to go ahead and start adding in my color washes or some shadows, whatever. Let's see. So let's go with the light wash texture. I'm going to give the iris some color. I'll just go with your stereotypical. Actually, let's go green. Let's be different. And I am going to just double check that I'm in that layer. Go back to double check I'm on that brush, and I'm going to lay in my wash in that. Okay, because the toned paper layer is below, it's going to come, you know, it's going to change the interpretation of this color as it lays down and optically mixes with that color paper. I'm okay with it. It's not a deal breaker. But again, like I was saying before, why you wanted to lock your sketch layers now, because the brushes in Procreate can be challenging to really get them where you want them. It's not like, if you have a real paintbrush and let's find a smaller one. A real paintbrush and you're able to really get into the detail like that. I mean, even though you have this pointy pencil, the brush itself, they're just challenging to really get those tight points. So, you're going to have to more than likely go in to refine your edges by using the eraser tool. But it's fine because you're not actually, you can do it. It's not like you have real materials out, in a field and you have to, you can't get that paper back. You can do it. It's digital. It's beautiful. So don't forget that the eraser is a completely viable tool option for you. So use it. Okay, let's lay in the iris. Sorry, the pupil. Okay, and my dogs. So because they are washes, they're transparent by nature. That's how the brushes are designed. So you might have to lay in, a couple passes to get that kind of depth. There is one brush here, big wash, and you can see from the display that it's going to be more opaque. It's denser with pigment as though you really got a lot of paint on your brush and used it that way. So we're going to go ahead and lay that in. Get it darker. So to build on this, I mean, I'm not necessarily doing a eye tutorial, but it's fun to go ahead and lay in your highlights because that really makes an eye pop, and gives it some believability. Okay. Oh, sorry, I just kicked somebody. Okay, so there's my color for the eye itself, but because again, you're using a digital medium, you can go ahead or actually even with real materials, you could lay in like a china white to get the sclera of the eye a little brighter, especially in contrast to the paper. So I'm going to do that on another layer because in case it bleeds, it's going to bleed over into this color if I do it on the same one, and that's going to super suck. So I will go ahead and put that in its own layer so that I can really tweak it. China white watercolor is pretty transparent, so I'm going to use one of the medium wash so that I know that it's a little more of a transparent brush, and just play with that. When you overlap strokes, you're going to increase the opacity of it, so that's good to know, but it also is going to leave a second hard edge. So you can use your finger tool to kind of blend them, but I find it kind of blurs them a little too much. You might have to add some texture in later to kind of recreate that aesthetic of a watercolor on paper. But as you can see here, that looks bad. That catches my eye, pun intended, I guess. And so I'm going to go ahead and blend them just a little bit. Okay, so I'm liking the way that is building up, but now because, if I were sketching this in my real sketchbook, I would want this to look more three-dimensional. I love, achieving that 3D look on a 2D surface. And so, okay, I want my sclera to be, preserved. I don't want it to mix with anything else. So as ever, I'm going to add another layer above this so I can start messing with shadows and start trying to tweak all that. I usually go for something like a deeper brown. I really want it to have the shape of a point, and so this round brush with bleed implies a round brush, in case you're not familiar, if you don't paint, is like this, and it has a point at the edge, so it allows you to get more precise and then flatten out and get a wider stroke. Okay, so that's what this is meant to mimic, and I will do that with some shadows. And usually, your upper eyelid casts a shadow on your eyeball. And as you know, your eye is a sphere, so you want to kind of give it that look. Okay. If you want to go moodier, you can make it darker, up to you. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm happy with that, but I want to go ahead now and try to give some more form to the upper eyelid and the lower eyelid so that it looks like it's sitting, on a face. Okay, so I think I'll stick with the same. Same brush. Let's try this one. Okay. So in the case of these bigger shadows, see how you're getting that light? So it was really watercolor on paper. I love that look. But sometimes you want to blend it out. Oops. So I will use a finger just to kind of get rid of some of those harder edges. Again, you know, if this was traditional media, you couldn't, I mean, you could do some lifting, but not quite as well or easily or non-destructively as you can with Procreate. So that's awesome. Okay. I guess I'm going for quite a deeper, moodier eye here. It's got bags, going for bags. Whoops. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Just to give it a little pop of color, I like to put that fleshy bit in the corner of the eye. I think it's kind of fun. Included with the set are four options of how to draw your sketch itself, 4 wash brushes, and then I've got 2 kind of tighter, smaller liner brushes, if you will, to get detail with a kind of a faux watercolor effect. Oops. And so I go ahead and drop that in just for that little pop of color. Yeah, I'm going to leave that. And now pretty much have it kind of roughly masked in, but I want to go in and add some just kind of more sketchy looking details just to make it a little more fun. So I'll go to the pencil tool because I want it to look really organic, and I'm going to give the iris a little more texture, so I'll choose a deeper tone of that green and zoom in and make sure everything's up. It's a pretty tiny brush, so I'm just keeping it quite loose style, because it is, you know, sketchbook. You want it to be kind of, you know, style-wise to be free, loose, sketchy kind of thing. Imperfect. I like it imperfect. Anyway, so that kind of thing. I really don't want to take too much time with this, but I will go in and just deepen some of them just for visual, some line weight changes. Okay, good enough for that for now. And then I'm going to go and add some lashes because lashes are fab. I love the micron for the lashes because they're really sketchy. Okay, clearly I'm left-handed. So don't forget, though, whatever handed you are, you can rotate the canvas so that you get a more natural, you know, if you that kind of stroke arcing is better for you, then feel free to rotate your canvas. You don't have to do it, you know, as though you're sitting stuck on an easel kind of thing. You are free. Okay, that's failing me, so I'm going to go back to my pen. I think it's because this resolution on this particular canvas is pretty high, so it's really, really not making much impact. Okay, lashes, don't forget they start and then they kind of swoop down before they go up, which also helps cast shadow on the sclera to the eyeball. There is that kind of lip, and that should be probably like a different color too to set it off, but anyway, okay. And then I think it's good too to go ahead and add in some, not random marks, but like, you know, you typically, not all cultures, not all ethnicities have the double eyelid, but this particular eye does. So I'll go ahead and maybe suggest that using some line work, because again, I want this to look, even though it's digital, to look like it's, you know, super sketchy by hand kind of thing. Or I could lay in some of the hairs and the eyebrow kind of thing. I don't want to get too many details because I really want the focus to be on the eye itself. So I could continue now to, you know, tweak, fine tune, crop, whatever. Again, like that's probably a little too wide. I would maybe mess around with that, but that's just kind of aesthetic choices. So not the most amazing eye, I will admit, but you see how really just, you know, approaching Procreate considering importing different, different papers, quote unquote papers, can really change the look and feel of your resulting artwork. So fun. So I would urge you to go ahead and, play with it. You can certainly assemble, your own line and brush set within Procreate, but if you wanted something that was ready to go, again, I've got this line and wash set all nicely packaged together. It comes with 4 different sketchbook paper options. This one, a brown, a gray, kind of a dirty white one, and then there's one more, I can't think of what it is, but anyway, 4 of them, and then the brushes. Okay, but anyway, regardless, yeah, Procreate's awesome. Hope you give it a try. All right, thanks, bye.